On the evening of October 1st, a gunman positioned in a room at the Mandalay Bay Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas started firing semi-automatic weapons from his hotel window down into a crowd below that had gathered for a music festival. The videos from the tragedy shocked the nation as thousands of terrified people ran for their lives in between rounds of gunfire. In the end, the shooter, 64-year-old Stephen Paddock, killed 58 people and injured more than 500. But there's a lot more to the story that the media simply doesn't grab most of the time, including the failures of the security staff at the hotel where Paddock was located, the concert promoters, and a host of others. And that's why lawsuits are being filed by the victims of this tragedy. Peter, again, you know, to me, what I'm always amazed at is sometimes how reporters are in the midst of, they're hearing the facts, but they don't understand how the facts come together. Why is it that, that there may be multiple parties involved that are all, you know, to some degree responsible for what happened here? I mean, something as basic as these people being shot at and not being able to have any kind of escape route. Some of them were pinned in between fences, and the shooter's on the 32nd floor, and they're simply sitting there. Yeah, they could not get out. What is your take? What is your take on this?
Well, the lawsuits have been filed. I think this is one of the biggest filings to date, at least in the last few months. That there have been about 400 of these cases getting filed against both the hotel for the lack of security, the lack of proper training of the employees, and then also the concert promoters, because the ingress and egress, people couldn't get out. And they had metal barricades kind of blocking them in.
Let's just talk about the employees at the hotel, okay? First of all, I mean, the story we have heard is, well, he had a do not disturb sign on his door for 7 days. He was using the service elevator. Well, here's what happens in a setting like that. And again, this is not something that's talked about. It's almost like some of these reporters are living in a different world. But what ends up happening is a guy like Paddock shows up. He's a high roller in Vegas, right? Shows up. He starts spreading money around. Okay, the people who take care of his room, he spreads money around. Everybody gets money. They get chips. That's how this guy is able to do things like use service elevators. That's why he was regarded as such a, you know, congenial, nice guy before all this started, because money is spread around. You know, you and I do a program, we do a program twice a year. We have for 18 years out in Vegas, either at Wynn Hotel or Bellagio. We see it firsthand. Money talks out there, and so these employees get sucked into that. What's your take?
Well, why in the world would you allow a guest to use the service elevator? There's absolutely no reason to use the service elevator and to let a guest use it and then carry in large bags. That should have been a red flag. You know, a couple of issues like that. I mean, 7 days with the do not disturb sign. One thing that's bothering me about this is when he knocks out the windows, you know, when he tries to get access to shoot out with these scope rifles on people that are locked in like goldfish in a barrel, essentially. I wonder what happened, and I haven't heard this in the press yet. I wonder what happened when the window got knocked out or cut out, so he had access. Was there an alarm that went off? Did somebody get notified right away? What took him so long to get up there? You know, it's he had barricaded the door. There's a lot of things that are scary.
Let's go. Let's micromanage it a little bit more. The things that he did, he barricaded a door. He had time to set up cameras out in the hallway. This is not something you do just an hour before the event.
Like in the room service delivery, he had those carts parked outside with cameras to see down the hall when people were coming. There was a whole series of events like that. So you're right, he had those set up.
There's a site, interesting, there's a site, it's called October1.law, October1.law. A lot of information is out on that site that kind of leads you to believe that these lawsuits are pretty strong. I mean, you know, when you first heard it, of course, the defense of it, oh, it was just one crazy man. Well, yeah, he was a crazy man. But when you're in the business of dealing with people and you go through the same routine every day and you're in that kind of atmosphere, employees have to be specially trained. They have to have some sense about the idea There's been a do not disturb sign on the door for 7 days. Some cat is using the service elevator, bringing up huge boxes.
Right. It's not like this is a new phenomenon either. What's the name of the school where they had the shooter in the bell tower back in like
yes,
the 70s?
Exactly.
I mean, I know this isn't something that happens every day, but it's not like this is just an epiphany. It's the first time it's ever happened.
Yeah, exactly. The point is there. When you walk down that main drag in Vegas, you realize that every one of those places is a bell tower. You realize it's just a matter of when something like this happens. And so right now, so 58 dead, 58 families affected, dead relatives, 500 injured.
Think about how many guns and how much ammo you had to bring up without anybody noticing to get off that many rounds to hurt that many people.
Right.
You're talking about a lot of stuff to bring into that hotel and get upstairs with no one noticing. I mean, think about how many rounds he had to shoot off. And that's one thing that when security went in, you heard over and over was just how many rounds were all over the floor, the shells, and how many guns he had up there.
And your point being, you don't get rounds up in secret. You get rounds up in big boxes. You get equipment, these types of weapons that he had to bring up boxes in the service side. But when they start really deposing people, they're going to find that this guy spread around chips. You know, that's how the world in Vegas works. He paid the people cleaning his room. He paid the people in the hallways. He paid people downstairs. He paid people that allowed him access through the service elevator. That's how this entire thing works. You know, I got to tell you something. There is a responsibility from a legal standpoint, purely legal analysis. He was an invitee. As an invitee in a place like that, the standard of due diligence that landowner has is huge. Anyway, we're going to take a look at October1.law. It talks about this in great detail. So you can get stories that the media is simply incapable of reporting for one reason or another. It's almost like they don't think things through. They don't actually go out there and see how it really works.